As the final buzzer sounded on the Pistons' 2023 season, two die-hard fans, Mickey and Harry, each passed out and witnessed a vision. They were visited by Detroit's very own mascot, Hooper, the stallion ablaze, who told them the only way the Pistons would ever win a championship again was if these two men started a podcast. To be clear, they said, do we really have to do this? I mean, aren't there enough Pistons podcasts already? It seems like this might be overkill. But Hooper dunked on them, right in their face, and said, your team needs you. He presented them with a prophecy. Now it is their duty to help Detroit rise again and become champions. The Order of the Blazing Horse. Welcome back to another, in this case, emergency episode of The Order of the Blazing Horse, the only Detroit Pistons podcast based on a mystical prophecy. I am one of those prophets touched by a horse, not in a creepy way, always must iterate, not in a creepy way. Very consensual, very sensual, and very fourth or fifth dimensional way. Look at the rhyme scheme. I mean, come on. But I'm joined as always by my good man, my co-prof, my host with the most out on the West Coast. Don't mean to brag. Don't mean to boast.
I'm Mickey Jacobs, and I got to tell you, Harry, we may have been visited by Hooper, and he prophesized the Pistons turnaround if we started this podcast, but I don't think anyone could have prophesized the news that broke today.
No. Today, it was brutal. And Mickey, let me tell you about my day before we get into this.
Please do.
So I wake up. I've got yard work to do. I'm mowing the lawn. I'm using the weed whacker. Weed whacker completely breaks on me 100%. I'm not even like halfway done with the job. Okay,
you have to whack by hand now?
No whacking. I just said, fuck it. I stopped whacking. The hand whacking. I mean, been doing that for a long time.
Yeah. You've got the experience.
I'm ambidextrous.
The forearm strength.
So weed whackers busted. Then I'm going to play disc golf. It's getting hot out here. It's getting hot and it's getting muggy. So turn on the air conditioning unit. I forgot to close one of the windows. So when I got back, place was bacon. My wife was furious about
and the
it.
AC was running.
I picked up a chicken today because I was like petting a chicken, doing something with the chicken, like cleaning her off a little bit. While I'm holding her, she takes a dump all over my bare arm. Disgusting. That's never happened before. Then I'm playing disc golf. I'm cruising, like straight cruising to victory. We're getting to hole 18. I'm up by 2 strokes. I straight up blow it, double bogey. The guy I'm playing against hits this wild birdie, wins it. And that was such a bummer. And then after, he's like, oh, I just got a news flash. Because as bad as my day was, it wasn't as bad as Malik Beasley's friggin' day. Mickey, break this news to everybody, man.
He's under investigation for gambling allegations in 2024. For the record, I just want to say this is, first of all, we don't know if this is true. His lawyer has said that he is innocent until proven guilty. And also, just for the record, this was not when he was a Piston. So you can't blame him for your parlays, even if this is true. But this is super messed up, man. We saw what happened with Jonte Porter. He's out the league for life. Was Michael Porter being investigated for something as well?
I don't know about Michael Porter, but he supports Trump, so he can eat one, and you can choose what that one is. But with Jonte Porter, not only is he out of the league, he's facing hundreds of thousands of dollars in fines and potentially 3 to 4 years of jail time. Like, it ain't good. It ain't good for him. And then also, and this is another guy, Terry Rozier. He at least last year, he was under investigation for prop bets. The league said that they would go along with investigations, and the league found that they couldn't find anything, so he's still playing. No big deal for him. But that's because those guys were just playing. They're just playing while it was going on. I want to talk about a couple reasons why this sucks for Malik Beasley specifically. And like going back to what his agent said about he's innocent, to presume he's innocent.
The agent, yeah.
Proven guilty. Let's do that. Let's consider he's innocent. This fucking sucks because it was rumored or it was reported that he was on the verge of signing a 3-year, $42 million deal with the Pistons. That's the full text MLE.
I like that deal, by the way.
Great deal.
That makes sense. I think, sorry to cut you off, but I think we can all agree that Malik Beasley was the #1 free agent that we wanted to bring back.
Do Pistons fans agree on anything?
Never.
Except
Never
for this.
once. Except for this. It's crazy. I feel so bad for Malik because, like, as we said, innocent until proven guilty. The timing sucks.
Horrible.
The timing could not be worse. Didn't Shams also say that the Pistons have paused talks?
And they have to. And here's why they have to. Because we don't know. We don't know whether there's innocent guilt. We don't know what the feds are going to find. He could be suspended indefinitely. He could be out of the league. Nothing could happen. But you can't take that chance at this point in free agency, especially on the first day of free agency when you're trying to make a championship contending team. It's just unfortunate for him. So that's why it sucks for Malik if he's injured, because this cost him $42, maybe more $million on top of it. It also tarnishes his legacy after having a comeback season, an incredible season where he reached legendary status in Detroit. Now, potentially the last things we're going to hear about him in Detroit are his kind of not having a great playoffs. I don't think it was that bad, but not great. He was responsible for the very last turnover that went through his hands on the shot that never happened to potentially tie that series. And now we have this gambling thing. That's not a good way to go out when you did such an incredible job rejuvenating your career, really making your name for yourself, and like being a good example for the young guys on this team, just being good. Now, let's say he is guilty, right? I don't want to speculate and say he is, but let's say he is. That fucking sucks. Because then you ruined it for yourself, dude. This is a huge backdrop on your part. And we already talked about the other consequences here. The only thing we know for sure is this sucks. And the only speculation I want to make is he's not going to be a Piston. Like, he's just not signing with the Pistons this year because they can't afford to take him on.
It's a real drag, man. I just, like, you said it, but just like everything he did during the regular season, putting up Curry numbers from behind the arc, such a prolific three-point shooter, so good to the rooks, the younger players, just like him shooting with Ron beforehand, the shimmy, like all the intangibles. We've talked about so many times on this podcast, just like talent aside, he has been integral to the vibes, and vibes were 3 and vibes player. Good for steals, good for a couple dunks, but just like he meant so much to the morale, you know, like even hyping up Cade after his big games, you know, sizzling and just talking about how we're going to see teams in the playoffs and just being really excited to like take the team to places that they hadn't been in such a long time. And we talked about how much more value he had in Detroit than anywhere else and vice versa. It's such a drag. Like I don't want to talk in circles about it, but just like it's a testament to Malik, like how much he meant to this team, like, and this 2024, 2025 Pistons, like, you know, short of like what the Pacers went on to do, like far and away the best story in the league. I've been listening to some podcasts of just like non-Pistons fans just talking about the season and basketball in general. Like we turned heads all throughout the season, and Malik was a big part of that. And it's just such a shame. I honestly totally forgot about the last play of the playoffs. Like, and you reminded me of that, and just like, just talking about letting shit slip through your fingers, man. It is so brutal. And like, I don't know how quickly these things resolve, but it's not, like you said, it's not going to be immediate.
It ain't tomorrow.
It ain't tomorrow. And we're like, when's training camp? Like soon.
You got to get these agents while they're there. He's screwed. Like this absolutely sucks for him, because we're talking about a man coming off a 1-year, $6 million deal that everybody around the league said this is the most
one of the best contracts in the league. Yeah.
One of the best contracts in the league. And he doesn't get to capitalize on this payday after an historic season. If he did it, that sucks. I mean, like you got to eat it, and that blows. If he didn't do it, if I were him and he's innocent, I would legitimately sue the U.S. District Attorney for $50 million plus for damages, because this ruined him on top of the way it goes. So hopefully he's innocent. I love Malik. I love the energy Malik brings, and I really wish he could have been a Piston this upcoming year. And it's just, unfortunately, it's just not possible. So while it seems like that was the direction that the Pistons were going to go, And all we can do is like wait to hear what's going to happen with him and what's going to happen with his future. I think it's safe to assume that the Pistons aren't going to give him a contract. That contract's on pause, but they have to move forward because other people moving forward and other players, and you might need to replace him anyway. So that's what's got to get done. So that's one decision that's essentially been made for Trajan Langdon. And it kind of changes the trajectory of things because at one point they were talking about bringing everybody back, like they have interest in all the vets, in Schroeder, in bringing back Malik and bringing back THJ. And now, Mickey, we're kind of looking at a possibility where none of those three guys comes back.
Yeah. So before the Beasley, by the way, first of all, just want to get this out of the way. Good thing we just drafted a prolific movement shooter. Shout out Chaz Lanier. You might be getting some run next season because that's kind of exactly what we're going to be missing apparently as of this morning. But yeah, we were talking a little bit about just what this might mean, and before the Beasley news broke, you sent me a reel of none other than Pistons German point guard Dennis Schroeder. And why don't we play that clip?
Yeah, let's go to that. Oh, here, oops, a little behind the scenes stuff. Sorry about that. I should have had it ready. But
it's fine.
Here's Dennis. He's saying, I want to stay in Detroit, but
yeah, I want to stay in Detroit for sure. But Detroit ain't waiting. Detroit ain't waiting for me. I can tell you that much. Detroit ain't waiting for me.
I couldn't hear it, but hopefully everyone else can.
I heard it came through. Yeah, I got to figure out that whole thing on OBS. I'm
it's
okay.
It's
OBS stuff, but essentially,
I've heard it. Unfortunately,
yeah. Essentially, it's he wants to stay in Detroit, but apparently Detroit ain't waiting for him. He can tell you that for sure. Detroit ain't waiting for him. He seems pretty upset about it, and that sucks because Detroit could offer him more money than any other team could because they have his bird rates. So that could happen. They could stay over the cap, but it sounds like maybe they're looking elsewhere. Mark Stein reported that where are we on this? That's earlier in this whole thing. That the Pistons feel kind of comfortable with Jaden Ivey coming back, playing some guard minutes, having that heavy guard room. So Schroeder might not be coming back, and that the Kings are heavily interested in him joining their organization. Mickey, how do you feel about that?
I disagree with the Pistons if that is true, because as excited as I am for Ivy to come back, I think we would have needed a Dennis Schroeder off the bench even if Ivy had been healthy all season. I'm very excited about Ivy. He was looking really good in terms of shooting this past season and in terms of scoring. The turnovers were still quite high. The ball handling needs work. And that is what and by the way, Dennis wasn't shooting great during the regular season, but his assist to turnover ratio was steady, which is why he basically became the second or third option during the playoffs. And his shooting got better during the playoffs. I love his leadership. I love that he's played on virtually every stage and been the head of the snake and on a lot of those stages. I think we need a backup point guard. I would love for it to be Dennis, even though, again, his efficiency wasn't that great this past season. But if it's not Dennis, I think we need a Jones bro or perhaps a Ty Jerome or a something. I mean, again, I would love for it to be Dennis, but I don't understand how. I don't think we should be paying Dennis Schroeder $20 million a year by any means, but I don't understand how the Kings or the Mavs could offer more than we could. And I will say, last thing before we go to you is I'm more keen on bringing back Dennis Schroeder than I am Tim Hardaway Jr., and that's no knock to THJ. There are absolutely games we don't win last season if not for him. He's also just like a really steady vet. It's just we've got shooters who are like semi-inconsistent. I really think we need like another floor general. How do you feel about it?
I'm torn. I'm like legit a little torn because I loved his minutes on this team and I thought he was huge in the playoffs and I'd love to bring him back. But if he's not happy with the money, he's not happy with the money, or if he feels like he's being disrespected, he feels like he's being disrespected, you know, and like Ivy is going to need to get those touches. So the question at that point is like, how important is it to have a guard of his caliber there, and how replaceable is he in that situation? This is a business. I mean, it sucks that it's a business, but he works here. That's proven that he works in this system. But we know we essentially know we're not bringing Malik back at this point. We don't know what the money situation is going to be with him, and we also know that if his contract lapses, and if, as it's been rumored, they're able to ship out Tech, that frees you up with about 24 million cap. That's a lot of cap. And then then you still have like the MLE if you're over the cap at that point. Who knows how it goes? I think you could potentially get a backup floor general who's not as maybe good at scoring points as Dennis Schroeder and at a much cheaper contract. Like I like DeLon Wright last year. I really like, he's got some size, he's got defense. And when we had Doug Burns out, shout out to Doug Burns, Doug Lust on social media, who released a 6-song called Hot as Balls, which is
stream
so
it.
accurate.
It's a banger.
It really is a banger, dude. It's a good jam, but
relatable banger. Yeah.
For no matter where you're at, is hot as balls. Got to change my draws, as he says. But if you get DeLon Wright, who he said played pretty decently, all that he has to do is play backup point guard minutes at the whole thing. And when we're looking at these guys being out and not taking up all that money, a lot of the focus is shift over to a player that a lot of Pistons fans have long coveted, who is officially on the outs from Minnesota after they re-signed Julius Randle and they signed the Naz Reid to a 5-year, $125 million extension, which, by the way, that's good news for anybody following the Jalen Duren contract extension talks. Nickeil Alexander-Walker is out of Minnesota. He's gone. That's just the case at this point. And it sounds like, again, according to Mark Stein, the Pistons and the Hawks are the two teams most likely to land this man. And he's not like a great playmaker or anything, but he shoots streaky 38%. That's not bad. And he's an incredible defender, like an incredible perimeter defender. That's pretty good. Get him in there. Give him some money. We've talked about wanting Jake LaRavia bad. Get him in there. Get some money. And potentially, like I said, DeLon Wright. You can find a cheaper point guard. Maybe you can talk Chris Paul into joining. I don't know. There are point guards out there who that's what they do. They just run the floor. They just do the general thing. And you still get an opportunity to see what Malik Beasley can do. So now we're at this point where it's like, what sort of money are we talking about? Who's getting what? I'm also interested in Dorian Finney-Smith, who just turned down his $15 million player option with the Los Angeles Lakers. We got Christopher Hammond in the chat saying, making lemonade. I wonder if Dennis casting eyes at Sacramento and Beasley being an unsignable now gives you incentive for Ty Jerome, etc. That's what I'm talking about. And you brought it up. Christopher brought it up. Ty Jerome's like another guy. And Ty Jerome is a fiery scorer. I don't know what his playmaking is like. I actually haven't delved too much.
I think it's pretty solid. I feel like he has a good assist to turnover ratio, actually. I think I love that name. I just think he's going to be a little more expensive, to be honest, because he's super efficient. And, he kind of had like a Peyton Pritchard-esque role off the bench for them.
TJ McConnell, right? Came in.
Yeah, very much. Yeah.
And we see how important that is. Like it is an important role, but if Ivy's also going to be staggering with Cade, is it that important on this team specifically?
Okay. I actually think it is. Like,
Ooh.
I've thought about this. I remember we've talked to Bryce about it last season where Bryce was not, and Bryce knows a lot more than I do about hoops. I have to say that. He was not in favor of the Pistons signing a backup point guard. I forget if that was before or after Ivy went down, but regardless, I think we need it. And I think, like, for the sake of Ivy's development, I don't think he should have like that much of a playmaking burden put on him. Like, I'm not saying he can't make reads. It's just the handle and the knowing that he's going to have the ball in the hands when Cade's getting doubled. Ty Jerome during the regular season last year had a 3.4 to 1.3 assist to turnover ratio. It's not bad.
No, that's pretty good. That's pretty freaking good. Christopher Hammond said that Ty Jerome got dogged on for the playoffs, but the Pistons made a lot of people look bad in the playoffs, which is true. And also, the Pistons have a history of getting guys at a pretty decent rate after they have had bad playoffs, including Tim Hardaway Jr., including Malik Beasley, like that. Tobias Harris, although they paid a lot of money for Tobias Harris, but one bad playoff experience does not make your playoff career, I'd say. I mean, look at Tobias last year compared to Tobias this previous season. It's two opposite sides of the coin, and one of those coins is worth money, and one of those coins is not. So our side is worth money, and one's not.
By the way, really quick, I just want to bring up Trey Jones. Everybody likes Tyus Jones, super efficient scorer. Trey Jones last season averaged not a ton of points. It was like 7 points, 4 assists, and 2.5 rebounds. His assist to turnover ratio was 4.2 to 0.8. And he's shooting like almost over 50% from the field and almost 40% from three.
That's what I meant about the TJ McConnell thing and the Ty Jerome thing. I was indicating, do you need a point guard who's also the scorer out there? And I was trying to say that not necessarily if Ivy's going to stagger.
I see.
Ivy is going to score those points, or Ron Holland is going to score those points, or whoever. If you get that's a person who can score points as well. It's more out there. So all I'm trying to say, as much as I love Dennis, if the money isn't right and you can replace him because there are people on the market who are much cheaper and also pretty good ball handlers and potentially good defenders, ideal. One of the guys I wanted just signed back with Oklahoma City, AJ Mitchell, is back with them on a 3-year, nearly $9 million deal. So that's out. No big deal.
Their third point guard behind Kaysen Wallace. That's crazy.
And they still have Nikola Topic as well. Okay. Stevie J says Kevin Porter or Seth Curry are cheap UFAs. Mickey, how you feel about that?
Not into either for very different reasons. I don't like Kevin Porter Jr. I don't want him on the Pistons team
on a personal basis.
For
character
basis. His game has nothing to do with it. Seth Curry, I think he's a little long in the tooth at this point, and I think he isn't really a distributor. Like, I think I don't know why personally we would need Seth Curry if we just drafted Chaz, and like I don't know. I agree he would be cheap, but I'm personally more interested in like a Jones brother or like even a DeLon Wright or like AJ Mitchell. I think was a nice name. I'm worried about.
That's if we get Naw, right? I'm assuming that's if you sign Naw.
Sure, yeah. But either way, I think we just need a like backup floor general, both for injuries and to take pressure out. Like someone ideally that you can actually play too, like not just like a kind of like Sasser. I mean, yeah, even Sasser kind of reminds me of what Seth Curry does, to be honest. But I mean, I hear you, Stevie. Like these are names that make sense. I'm just worried about the turnovers next season. Like that's like we started winning games and the turnovers got a little better, but then like we started winning games in spite of having hella turnovers. And I'm just like, I really think we're going to have to bring those numbers down to start beating better and better teams, especially like what the East is going to look like next season with, the wing room of New York with like OG and McHale and, Orlando is like, they are tough. They force a lot of turnovers. Even I think even the Pacers without Hallie are going to still like get hella turn. They've still got Nemby and Neesmith. Like I really want to trust the ball handling. And like, yeah, I guess if you can shoot two, that's awesome. I wonder what kind of money, and I'm curious what you guys think in the chat of like, what kind of money do you think Tyus and Trey Jones are going to command? Like, what does that look like?
I truly have no idea, but I bet it's not more than like 3 to 5 million, somewhere in that range.
If that's the case, it's a no-brainer to me. Just as like that skill set is so key.
That's why I'm on this level of like, if Dennis wants like 16 or more than that, we're talking about like saving 14 million, maybe 10 million, somewhere in that range, which you can use on a bigger player, potentially offering Laravia more money, potentially offering Nickeil Alexander-Walker more money. And something that you can do for free is subscribe. Just subscribe to the YouTube channel.
Oh, that costs nothing, baby. That's just a little push of a button.
We're at 84 subs, which is honestly, I'm so happy to be there. I'm so happy to have 84 of you with us in the order, all drinking out of the horse trough, the Kool-Aid out of the horse trough.
Glug, 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 with some oats and sugar cubes, baby. Just come on.
Speed bag on, dude. we're trying to get if we get up to 100, I'll be geeked. I'll be so pumped to get to triple figgies. And let me break some news for you here from Sham Sharnia. He says Bobby Portis to sign a $44 million deal with the Bucks. So if you're hoping that Bobby Portis is going to join this team, it ain't happening. I'm going to tell you, Mickey, straight up, if we can pivot to the big man room, two guys are expected to sign a lot of money contracts. Bobby Portis just mentioned, and the aforementioned Naz Reid with the 5-year, $125 million contract. I didn't want either of these guys on the Pistons. And
I know you didn't. Yeah.
For opposite reasons. I just felt like Bobby Portis wanted a bigger role than what he's actually supposed to be getting on this team. And for Naz, I'm not into a sub 6'10 defensive liability starting center, even if he can split at the 4 or 5. Like, that team had a defensive identity in Minnesota. So it's not like they weren't trying to play defense, and he was still a defensive liability out there. So while I appreciate the stretch and what that would do, that's at the expense of other stuff that happened here. And if he's your starting 5, it's what? He's starting 5 at center at 6'9", and Isaiah Stewart's your backup at 6'9". That's a small squad, my friends.
Yeah, Christopher Hammond in the chat. Yeah, we are operating under the belief that Malik Beasley will not be a Piston. Innocent until proven guilty, but just because of the timing of it all, it's a non-starter, right?
Yes. Like when to compare it to, like, let's say when Jonte Porter and when Terry Rozier were being investigated, that was mid-season. So it's not like they were going to be off the team. Terry Rozier continued playing. Jonte Porter eventually got banned from the league. Malik Beasley, with this announcement happening right now, because you don't know the extent of what his potential suspension or banning will be, or if he's innocent, you just don't know. You cannot sign him to a big contract and then be screwed with him not being able to play any minutes and you being out of all that money. So essentially what's going to happen is they put a pause on his deal unless like something miraculously happens in the next couple of days where he gets cleared of all charges. All these players are going to be gone. Free agency just hit. The players are going to be gone by that point. So you have to fill his spot. So we're essentially operating under the assumption that whether he's guilty or innocent, the Pistons cannot sign him. Maybe there's an opportunity if he's found innocent for them to bring him back on like a cheap 1-year deal and then talk again after that. But that's going to be tough. That's going to be tough. Tyus from CV Jay says Tyus is around $4 million in UFA and Trey's about 10 in a UFA.
Yeah, so just a little context for that. I do think Tyus signed a really cheap deal with the Suns, as the point guard of their super team. So I gotta believe his next contract is going to be more than I would imagine. He's actually a hotter commodity than Trey at this point, just because he's a more established point guard. And is he a little bigger? Are they around the same size?
They're both little guys, but
they're both small, but they can shoot.
That's my problem with them. They can shoot. Although I don't think Tyus had a great season last year, if we can look it up. But I'm not like super a big fan of another defensive liability. To me,
I get you.
You're big on the turnovers. I agree. I think turnovers are a big deal. My big stance, I want two-way players. If you can be a two-way player, you can be on this team.
I feel that.
Your eyebrows raised? Tell me why, Mr. Statman.
Yeah, so regular season 2024-25, almost 45% from the field and over 41% from 3. So that's solid numbers. That's numbers for Tyus. A stock per game, really just a steal if we're being honest. But that 5-to-1 assist to T.O. Raish, baby, that is money. And by the way, I hear you on your priorities for a backup point guard. I will say if we have a Na and we have a LaRavia, which by the way, like you're talking about making lemonade, Christopher, like we would both we would be stoked if 2 or more of first of all, just those 2 guys are Pistons next season. We're sucking on our pacifiers. We're at the LaRave. We're at the LaRavia. We're the Raven over here. I know it's kind of a deep cut for a lot of people, but he could be really good for us.
We're talking about floor spacer, two-way player,
true
hungry.
4. Yeah, 3-4 big guys. Yeah.
Like, but if you get Na, if you get LaRavia, that's replacing 2 offensive focused only players with 2 two-way players, and the 3-point shooting only dips slightly. The volume only dips slightly. Those are both guys shooting like 38% from 3, 37% from 3, as opposed to like, what was THJ last year? Like 36, and Malik was like 41, 42.
Something like that. Yeah. So but I will say, Harry, just to play devil's advocate with you, like I know you wanted 2-way guys and I love that. But if we've got, just in the scenario that we've got Na and Nah coming off the bench and Laravia coming off the bench.
With
That
Stu.
means
And with Ron.
Stu and with Ron. So that's a hell of a, that's my point, and that's a hell of a defensive lineup. And if you've got a table setter, and like, sucks because Stevie likes Laravia. He's at the Larave. He's at the Larave. He's
Look at you,
little,
my man.
yeah. You can't.
Make sure you got your gum in your water, Stevie J.
Yeah, I was gonna say you can't spell MDMA without NBA, but you can.
You've been at the Larave too long.
You certainly can. I don't know my letters so good. I got a little dyslexic just now, but yeah, I do think if that's your bench, you've got a little bit of room for like maybe a point guard who's not like the greatest defender. But if it was DeLon Wright, Nah and Laravia, awesome. If it's a Jones bro, Laravia and Nah, awesome. Gotta stay hydrated. It's so true.
It's hot as balls. You gotta stay hydrated.
It's hot as balls. And at the rave, and at Larave. But you don't want lockjaw. You don't want lockjaw. We want lockdown defenders. That's what we want.
The only time I want lockjaw is if it's being played by Sir Mix-a-Lot, because that's a fucking jam, son.
Banger.
Lockjaw from all my old heads out there. But
Unk status over here. Unk, I think we're both Unk at this point. Yeah, I think just like a backup point guard who with a decent assist to turnover ratio, whether their like secondary skill is shooting or whether it's defense, like that'd be great. Like, but I do think we need something.
So I think essentially where we're at, if I can sum up what we've come up from this whole podcast to get to here. First part, the Malik Beasley situation sucks. It sucks for fans. It sucks for Malik. It sucks for the Pistons. It sucks for everybody. And also, I fucking hate gambling culture. I hate that it's everywhere. I hate that it's like sponsoring all the NBA and it's all over every commercial.
Pervasive.
Like
it's you can't ignore it. Every commercial, everything. And it's like, sorry to cut you off, but it's so like, first of all, we really hope Malik didn't do this. We really hope this is just like gonna blow over. And we love, if you're just joining like a little late, like we just spent the whole first 10 minutes talking about how much we love Malik and like everything that he meant to the team. But forget the 3-point shot. Like gambling culture is ruining the league. Like it is just like, it's cast a lot of doubt like amongst fans over the officiating. Mm-hmm. It's just really, and it's also just like fucking irresponsible. like just to make it so easy for people to bet. But it's
sorry, real quick, Chris Hammond, my night, but because you had caps, it like spammed you. You'll be back in here in a second. But like what you said is right. I hate seeing the parlay stuff all over the screen. It's George Blah doesn't deserve to read this stuff.
Yeah.
Put that on a billboard.
Nor does Comey. You know, like they don't have to. They shouldn't be. Shout out Comey.
Hopefully Comey doesn't have a gambling problem. You're right. It's pervasive, and like to have it everywhere, all over the sport, and then tell the players, "Hey, if you ever do it, you're out of the league for forever."
So hypocritical.
Like it's insane.
Obviously, it's not good in any respect, but it's just like, you know, it's like a little bit like the gun thing with Ja, where it's just like, you know, this country is just like obsessed with gun culture, and like he just like flashes one and it's like, oh, the kids, like as if kids don't like go to school with bulletproof backpacks.
Right. It's like I hate the way that this stuff is regulated, and I think it's disgusting. And I don't care that we're never going to get a sponsorship as far as that stuff goes. I know we're on different sides of like the money and stuff like that.
I wouldn't say never.
You wouldn't say never.
I could change my tune real fast. I'll keep it a buck, and I'll make a buck. So I'm kidding. No, they're not going to be. It's not happening. It's jokes.
Regardless. So like that's my stance on the gambling thing. I hate it. I've never been like a gambling and I think it ruins lives on top of it as well. Like have fun. Also, my other thing about this is players do bets with each other like all the time. Like there's just gambling culture in there, like kind of fun gambling culture. And now it's like on your phone everywhere you go. Like it's gonna happen.
Fucking basketball Jesus had to leave the league because of illegal gambling.
Yeah. 100%, dude.
What are we talking about? It's a huge part of the culture, and it sucks. But anyway, sucks for it to like have impact in Detroit. And it sucks for the Pistons to be dealing with this. I think like so much of what the Pistons and Trajan and even Troy, to his credit, like tried to do was just bring in really high character guys. And I really think of Malik as a high character guy. And I think he like just again meant so much to the team. And it really sucks for him. And I agree with you that he should sue if this thing blows over and he like lost out on, you know, almost $50 million. I again in theory 42 for 3 years or whatever. I like that.
Yeah.
I like that for him. Like 13 million a year, 14 million a year. Like that sounds about right. Like making like pretty much like just a little less than like Stu money. You know, like that's about what he means to the team, is like around what Stu means to the team. Like a little less.
So that was part one. Part one is that sucks. It sucks for Malik. It sucks for the Pistons. It sucks for the field.
Yeah.
Part two, we talked about not the silver lining, but like it doesn't mean the end of it's
where do we go from here? Yeah,
right.
like
they have opportunities. They have options. And while at first we thought maybe the whole team, as far as like those vets would come back, now it's kind of seeming like maybe none will come back. What do? You can replace them with two-way guys. You can replace them with not turning the ball over guys. And there are names out there that fit the bill. They're linked to Nickeil Alexander-Walker. We've brought up liking Laravia a lot. Dorian Finney-Smith is out of his player option at this point. We've talked about several point guards who can do this thing. There are so many options, like Christopher Hammond says, that we can go with. And I wanted to bring up, this will be the last pivot I want to make on this podcast, because we still have young internal development that we're talking about here. Keith Smith put out his projected extensions list, where he talked about the players from the 2022 rookie draft class and what their projected extensions could be. This is just Keith's guesses. He said he's been pretty good at it in the past. This year's a little different. It's a little wonky, but he's had a good track record. He's a very knowledgeable basketball guy. If you don't follow his podcast, it's the Front Office Show with Trevor Lane. It's a great show. He knows a lot about ball, and he seems like a genuinely good guy on top of it. So shout out Keith Smith. The numbers for a potential Ivy extension and a potential Duren extension were identical from Keith. He said 5 years, 135 million?
Except for Ivy.
And for Duren, the same.
Oh, 135.
Which comes out to roughly 5 years, 27 million a year. Mickey, how would you feel about that for both players or either player?
Run it. I think that gives you such flexibility for the future if they just like really ascend and grow a ton, as like, by the way, I expect them both to do. That's great. You have them on a cheap, we're talking about how like Trey Murphy's deal is so great for 30 mil. And it's like that, you look like a fucking genius if they keep rising on the trajectory that they're on. Ivy was shooting great. Duren was improving a lot. And by the way, if you decide that something better comes along, or maybe they're not the best fit with Cade or whatever, either of them, those are movable contracts. Those are bargain contracts that you could get nice returns for. So I'm really stoked about that. How are you feeling?
I love it. Like let's look at the grand scheme of things. That means for half a decade, you've got one Supermax contract who's also a top 10 player in the NBA. I'll say he's a top 10 player in the NBA. I believe in Cade.
Number 7 voting in MVP. What are we doing? What are we talking about?
And like, okay, so if that's, so Christopher likes that idea. He says it's easily tradable. Stevie says as long as it's not over that for either of them, that's fine. Okay, so again, Cade on the Supermax for 5 years. Now you have two starters, two young, growing starters with a lot of potential, who are already proven to be pretty fucking good at under 30 million a year. Then you have Asar's coming along, and that's not going to be that pricey either, because his offensive game isn't the same. If you can't shoot, you're not going to make as much money. You're in a good spot as far as your team goes going forward. And like Mickey was saying, they're tradable contracts. Like Christopher was saying, those are tradable contracts. Not only are they tradable, but if you want to get a bigger player on top of that, you have to include the money to match. And those contracts are a size that will really help you match that without having to add too many other players to get to that point. The third thing I want to say about it is, we talked a little bit about potentially the idea of trading Jalen Duren for Trey Murphy in some pull your pants down deal to Troy Weaver and Joe Dumars in New Orleans, which if you watch the draft, seemed like it could have been friggin' possible. They traded up for Derek Queen, giving away an unprotected first round next year when they're going to be a bad team. Wild stuff. Absolutely wild stuff that the team that Troy Weaver's working for did the exact same Troy Weaver draft that they did when Troy Weaver was the guy for the Pistons. Whatever, either here or there. Maybe it works out. Probably won't work out. We'll see. Anyway, if let's say in that trade it was Duren, 2 first-round picks, or Duren and was it Tobias or something for Trey Murphy, somewhere in that regard. I don't remember what the trade was. And giving away some first. In this case, Ivy is paid less than Trey Murphy III. Ivy is less injury prone. He has this one major injury, but that's pretty much it. And you hold on to all your first round picks. That's a better deal overall. As much as I like Trey, and Trey shoots lights out, let's say Ivy shoots 40% from 3 again next year. Let's say he shoots 39% from 3 or 38%. That's pretty good. You're in a good place. And he's getting absolutely money. Incredible.
He's a gym rat. He works so hard. And by the way, just in terms of his durability, like I don't want to see him on the ground because sometimes he's on the ground a lot. I've seen him bounce back from so many like crazy falls where I just like see him like roll an ankle or do something, and I'm just like, oh fuck, that's like 2 weeks right there, and he just like springs back up. So like, short of like literally Cole Anthony breaking his leg,
diving into his leg, having to break bone, like
yeah, he's pretty goddamn durable. And yeah, I think Duren showed a lot, but like whether these extensions happen, we shouldn't talk about them like they're already in, but because like I still, but like it gives you so much flexibility. Like I would really like to see where they're at by the deadline, just because Duren, it took a little while to get going, and Ivy, we only had a 30-game sample size. But yeah, that's if it's anything in that neighborhood, like, or not too much more, I'm stoked about just like all the options that gives you. There was like one other thing I'd like to talk about if we have a little more time.
Yeah, let's go ahead.
And I'm curious what the chat thinks about this too. So Trajan talked about bringing back some of the vets. Beasley's out. Schroeder is looking like he might be out. Do you think this changes things for Tim Hardaway Jr., and do you think it should?
I think it could. Like, I think it makes it more likely for him to come back, depending on like what else goes down. I do think it should make it more likely, because for all the options we brought up, that'd be great. But there's no guarantee that's going to be what happens. No guarantee that's who they're even looking toward. And THJ was fine. Like he, like you said, he won games for us. He shoots a high percentage of 3-pointers. He makes a lot of 3-pointers. He showed a little bit more juice. Like attacking.
Takes charges.
He takes charges. Like he's a part of the system. He's there he dresses so nice. The dude has drip.
Oh, he's fly. No one's debating that.
Oh my Lord, man.
So Christopher says on a vet minimum, and I'm in. How much is that, by the way? What is the vet min?
For him, I don't know. Let me see. Vet min for Tim Hardaway.
While you're doing that, I just want to say Stevie says he would rather focus on Nick and maybe a stretch big. Does he mean Nikhil? Because if so, that's where I'm at too. Like I would really like to see Nah and LaRavia on the squad as like bigger priority. $1.2 million. Wow, that's cheap.
If it was that cheap, that's a no-brainer.
That's Sasser money right there. Like so that, yeah, I agree. But my issue is like not at 28 minutes a game, not at 20 minutes a game, like probably not at like 15 minutes a game, to be honest.
We're talking 12.
Yeah, I mean, even that, I almost feel like I'd rather. I mean, I don't know though, because like I don't want to say like I just like want to, but like I agree. I would rather like supplement the roster with like, you have the continuity of all the young guys plus Tobias, who are rock for this squad. Yeah, that's what I thought, Stevie. And I'm with you. I completely agree. Like we're talking about two-way guys. Like Nikhil Alexander-Walker is a two-way guy. I wouldn't like really describe THJ as a two-way guy. LaRavia, two-way guy. Like that's more appealing to me. I think like we've got some really exciting young prospects. Not all of them are two-way players. Like some of them are better. Asar's a defensive specialist. Like Ivy's not like, his defense has improved, but it's not really his thing. Having guys off the bench and guys that you can slot in who do a little bit of everything is, I think, going to be key for us next year and help fill some of those gaps so that JB, who, by the way, was, I think, pretty fucking masterful at this, doesn't have to like perfectly Tetris in his lineups, with just the right players. But yeah, I do think that it's good to see fans excited. 3.3 million.
That's
Talking
still
about that,
that's still ain't bad.
that's still wildly cheap, and I actually have a hard time believing that he would, like, maybe he could get a better payday from a contender, or like, not saying we're not a contender. I'm just saying, like, like an older squad, like
He could also potentially start on a team, to be quite honest. I mean, he started for us last year and was good. Like
I
like
think that's
on a
part of the
team.
I think
You don't
that's
think he
part of
could
the
start
problem.
on a team?
I don't think he should start on a team.
But
That's
he,
that's that's
I'm just
my
saying he could. He did this
I
year.
well, he did,
He
and
did.
that team was the 6th seed, but, like, I don't think that's what we should be doing, or what, like, let him start on the Bulls. He wants to start.
That's what I'm saying. It's like I don't think he should be a starter on this team, but he could
Right.
be a starter on another team. So
Sure.
he
We're
could
saying
make,
yeah.
he could make that money. The reason I'd be like okay potentially with him walking is filling that spot with like a two-way guy, and also because we drafted Chaz Lanier, who is a three-point shooting specialist, like a numbers three-point shooting specialist. And yes, it'd be nice to have like multiple guys who can do all that. But if you sign Laravia, if you sign Nikhil and Sarah Walker, those guys will shoot threes as well. So that adds 3 shooters to this team, which is not that bad.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I sucks. This is shitty day, shitty news, but there's a lot to look forward to in terms of just, like, things this opens up, and bringing in more talent, hopefully younger talent.
Mhm.
We've still got that Tobias vet presence. I mean, at this point, Stu is a vet, and, like, I think he matured a ton over the course of this season.
Is he 24? Was that at 24?
I mean, I feel like he's got is he only 24 years old?
So he's young. I wanted to ask Stevie J this because he said bringing a stretch big. Who is my
Yeah,
question?
we've been down this road a little bit. I'm curious.
Because
I'm curious who you think we could get, and
if they were that desperate to bring in a stretch big, I think they might have gotten one of them from the draft. But
Stu is 24.
He's 24 years old. So we're talking about right now players who are currently on the team. The oldest is Tobias. Then the second oldest is Fontecchio, who sounds like they might be trying to ship. And then I don't know. I mean, we haven't even talked about Lindy Waters potentially coming back, and I'd also be fine with that.
Well, I just figured that with the Chaz Lanier pick, he wouldn't be. Like Aldama and Bobby
Portis
gone.
is Bobby just agreed to a $44 million contract with the Bucks. Santi, maybe. I could see it.
I don't hate it.
I don't hate it either. Like we're fans of his. We think he's fine.
We were talking to Bryce, and he's a little concerned about the defense, but the nice thing about him is that he's that 4 or 5 off the bench. Like having that just ability to play multiple positions and shoot the 3 ball. Awesome. And like, if he's playing alongside Stu, you've got your defense bases kind of covered. And like, that would certainly open things up for like a more DeLon Wright-y point guard, and by the way, DeLon Wright can shoot.
Yeah.
I don't know if he's like great at it, but like we've seen, it's just another Pistons legend. How long is free? Like, how long will this whole process last? Cause I hadn't been paying super close attention until this.
I'm not too sure, but like it'll go for a little while, right? It'll go until players get signed. I don't think Malik got signed until like weeks into it last year. He was a late signing first overall, but I do believe like the majority of names that matter will hit in the next day or so.
Did you see that Nurkic got traded for Sexton?
Yeah, can we talk about that for a little bit?
Sure.
How? Why? Why was that the trade for either team?
I don't know. I mean, I guess it, like, to me, it kind of further puts Utah in like tank mode, like, right? Like where, like, it's, although they didn't even like get assets for taking on Nurkic's contract.
They gave up one.
Which is like so un-Ainge,
right?
Like what's happening here? Like I don't know. And like who is he replacing? Like Walker Kessler's minutes, Filipowski's minutes, because it kind of seems like they're in on those guys. And I don't know. I don't know really what they're doing over there, but I mean, I kind of liked Colin Sexton. I wouldn't have minded like a Colin Sexton, but like talk about like point guard off the bench. But they you know, they still have Jordan Clarkson. They still have so I guess they've
Patrick
got a pretty
George.
crowded, a backlogged guard room.
Their guard situation is thick, and not
Yeah.
necessarily like great thick. It's just it's loaded.
Collier, Keontae George. Did they just draft guard? I
don't even
forget.
remember.
Or no, they drafted Ace.
And they
drafted
drafted
Ace.
that guy from Florida. I can't remember what his name is, but he's a guard as well. He's another small guard. So they did draft another guard. So it's like I just don't understand the move. There's got to be something else going on with it, and you know, we'll see. We'll figure out how it's all going. Current Mark Stein just reported that the Houston Rockets have emerged as a viable free agent landing spot for Dorian Finney-Smith. So that's fascinating. I mean, the Rockets seem like they're on their way to serious contender mode at this point.
That's wild to me too, though, because they have like Jabari Smith Jr. and Tari Eason. You know what though? I guess Tari is pretty hurt a lot. So maybe how can they afford all that though? Because didn't Dorian Finney-Smith turn down 15 mil?
He turned down 15 mil, but like maybe it's situation. Who knows? It's
where you think he'd take less to play somewhere else
for more years, right? Like you have like a multi-year sort of situation.
Okay.
Stevie J says that Utah and New Orleans aiming for another top 5 draft pick, probably only number 5, maybe even less because.
But then they traded their draft pick. New Orleans traded their. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's great. Troy going to Troy, baby. Troy going to Troy.
It's just.
He got. By the way, like he doesn't need to get flamed by another podcast. Like this may be the blazing horse, but that guy's been blazed by Bill Simmons. Sam Vecini was all over him. Like I think Bill Simmons said it was like maybe one of the worst trades like of the decade.
It sucks.
Like,
and I think the wisdom or the thought process everybody has around is it sucks because they like the players, they hate the process and the landing.
Right.
And
right.
I mean, that's just it is what it is. And like Troy drafted another DMV guy. He traded for Sadiq Bey again. I mean, you could say Troy or Joe Dumars. Who knows who did it? But like this has got Troy Weaver stink literally all over it. And the reason I'm willing to like dump on them and him a little bit for it is because when they signed Dumars and Troy, I put out several posts in defense of those two, saying like maybe the two of them with their trade acumen and their draft scouting acumen together can do something good. And maybe they've learned from their mistakes because their mistakes were all over the place and like very, very pointed to and written out. They're very obvious. Everybody knows them. And then they just did it again. So like the reason I'm dumping is because I feel bad that I tried to defend them for a little bit.
Yeah, the Pelicans and the Nets are the laughingstock of the draft. This is Stevie. I don't know. Like, it sucks too because the Pelicans have like Herb Jones and Trey Murphy rock. Like
DeJounte
those
Murray's
guys. DeJounte Murray's really good. But like the pairing with Jordan Poole and the whole like Zion question mark. I mean, you kind of convinced me of like they said they're gonna rock with Zion, and I was like, well, that's a choice, and you were like, well. He doesn't have any value anywhere else. Like, what are you going to do? Like, they have to triple down on Zion. And
with Trey and Joe trying to get value out of that guy, no chance.
Yeah, sounds like he's good for tech in a couple of seconds.
Well, I wouldn't take it.
I don't want him. I don't want him either.
I'll pass that. But because we're on the topic of the draft, we haven't talked about Chaz Lanier really at all outside of him being an absolute flamethrower from behind the line. Have you done any diving into him at all? Have you like any thoughts on
I
him?
I have, and I'll tell you. Well, just like initially, I was sort of bummed that like seeing who moved up to get Rasheer Fleming.
The Suns jumped Boston to get Rasheer.
Yeah, and that cost like 2 seconds. Would have been cool if we did that. Because because to Stevie's point, I would have we talked about how getting a stretch big in the draft is like in that Paul Reed role, that third big off the bench. Like that would have been a cool proof of concept and maybe like some internal development. But I did watch some Chaz Lanier footage and like he is a prolific movement shooter. And I'll tell you what, I started feeling better about it after like a day or two after the draft, and I feel even better about it now.
Yeah.
What was your take?
Real quick, I want to shout out YouTube user says I'm a big believer in the Fierce Pool backcourt. Not sure what you guys are talking about. Winky, sticky out tongue face. If I can do that, I'm not sure if you're
Yeah.
joking or not. But
You might
I
be
have no
doing a
problem with
bit.
those players. Like truly, no problem with
Yeah.
those players.
Poole was good for Washington. I mean, it didn't equate to winning, but he I think he was like seen as a good locker room vet and like scored a lot of points. And like that's your primary option. You know, they don't really have that. But they drafted is it Trey that they drafted who everybody
Washington
seems
drafted Trey Jones. It was a
so maybe
Trey Johnson.
you know
Trey Johnson. Sorry, we were talking
Trey
about Trey
Johnson.
Jones.
Yeah, we were talking about Trey Jones, but yeah, no,
I like everything Washington did. If I'm being frank,
they've got well, and they've got. I like their vets. I like CJ. Yep. I like Marcus Smart. I like Chris Middleton. Like that's a nice. Like it feels like a version of the vets that Detroit brought in last season.
The only one weird one is Kelly Oubre joining the team that he started shit. Or not Kelly Oubre, but Kelly Olynyk joining that team, and they hate Kelly Olynyk in Washington. So interesting stuff. But back to the Chaz Lanier point, I warmed to the idea on draft night. Like when I saw his report, I was like, oh, but Renault was right there. And I was like, you know what? That's what I would do. But if they did their diligence, and I watched an interview with Chaz afterward, and he seems like a great kid, like super awesome. I looked at his numbers, not that dissimilar from Dalton Connect, like truly not that dissimilar from Dalton Connect, who I wanted at 5 last year, by the way. So to get this guy at 37, and we're talking about a kid who played in the same school as the same role 1 year after, took them to the Elite Eight, scored like 21 points in the tournament per game in the tournament, averaged 18, shot 8 attempts a game, high percentage 3-point shooter, similar size, similar athleticism, similar defensive concerns. He talked a lot about defense in this interview on No Ceiling. Shout out to No Ceilings, do a great scouting job. And the thing he said is when he was playing for the school before Tennessee, he never played defense. So there's like no reason to. They just wanted him to like score, and it's like a weaker division. So like, who cares? And you got to Tennessee and you have to focus on it. If you're struggling in your first year playing defense, whatever, you come to Detroit. After watching the defensive transformation that JB instilled in this Pistons team among players who I thought were never going to be even like medium defenders, I have all the faith in the world that he can get Chaz to be like at least a neutral defender. And now, like you said, with Beasley kind of being on the out and with THJ, who knows, I love this pick. I absolutely love it. And if they didn't want Renault or one of the other stretch bigs in the draft, there's a reason for it. So I'm fine. I'm super fine with this pick. And I like the kid. I like the pedigree. I like the ability. If you're going to take a second round pick and he's one of the best shooters in the entire draft, I'm here for it.
Yeah, no, I'm excited. I'm excited to see him play. I mean, hopefully we get to see him play, but it makes me excited for summer league because Troy was saying it's going to be a lot about Bobby and Ron, and I'm sure Chaz is going to be a big part of that too. And like, I feel like sometimes the summer league squad like has just like had a bunch of wings, or like it's just been like you've got some like a nice spread of positions there. So that'll.
I'm not entirely positive, but I think the Pistons picked up the point guard from Tennessee as an undrafted free agent as well. So he'll play in the summer league, and then they draft a kid out of Nebraska, and they got that Minnesota kid that you were telling me about with the contemporary hair.
I can't remember his name because I was telling you about him, and now I was gonna bring him up, but he looked cool. He's like a 6'11" shooter.
There's your stretch big if you want it.
Yeah, maybe. Oh man, I'm scrolling through our chat to find him. Oh man, past all the madness from today.
Per Pistons powered. Here are the guys they picked up undrafted. Zakai Ziegler, point guard out of Tennessee. You also still have Danis that you might see in the summer league again.
Jank.
You got Bryce Williams, wing out of Nebraska. You got Dawson Garcia.
That's who I'm talking about.
Yeah. Tell me about his time at Michigan or Minnesota that ended Michigan's career.
Yeah, was it last year's? He's 23. I don't know if it was last season's. Was it last season's March Madness that he knocked them out with a buzzer beater?
So funny.
And his stats are pretty fucking awesome. Hold on, let me pull him up. I don't watch college ball, but he's 23 years old. He put up over 19 points, 7.5 rebounds, 2 assists, over 47% from the field, and 37 from three.
That ain't bad.
I like you that quite a bit. Like 1.5 stocks. I'm excited to see that guy in summer league. Like, we'll see. But I don't know. I was sort of looking forward to seeing Bobby Clintman play, and we didn't really see Bobby Clintman play. So maybe we get more from him, but at least now we've got some other irons in the fire.
Right. And again, we're talking about like second rounders and undrafted free agents, and also second rounders in the NIL era on top of it, right? With a whole bunch of people going back to school. So like,
it's hard to go back to school when you're 23.
Yeah, that's true.
All of our guys are like 23 years old, but hopefully that means they're more ready.
That's still young as hell. It's still young as hell, like in the grand scheme of shit. If you're 23, what are you, like the fourth oldest person on the Pistons? Like third oldest person on the Pistons?
Seriously, yeah, that's so funny.
It's so crazy. And like Stevie J says, you can't really complain about a second rounder, even if you preferred Reyno or Brea. But like the Pistons loved him for. By all accounts, it sounded like he had like an insane workout with Detroit, and like that's great. I know Omari's been in his camp for a while, like saying this is a guy I'd get. That's cool by me. He sounds good. I like what the Pistons didn't draft. Didn't give up any assets. Would have been nice to get Fleming, but like also if the price is too high, the price is too high. But it also sounded like if they were going to trade up, it was going to be for Chaz. I'm just happy that no one took this guy. And to be quite frank, I kind of trust Langdon's drafting pedigree at this point, or his track record at this point, both with New Orleans and with Detroit. Like he proved me wrong with Ron, prove me wrong, or prove people wrong with Chaz in the second round here. Like, why not? Mickey, we went longer than I thought we were going to on this Malik topic.
I know. Well, we covered a lot of bases. I'm glad we're talking about the draft. We're talking about trades. We're topical, and we're giving you stuff right as it happens. So if you like what we're doing, you should like this video and you should subscribe to this podcast. Ring that little bell for notifications. Thanks for rocking with us in the chat. YouTube users, Stevie, Christopher, this was great. Like we want to keep doing more of this. So email us at ordertheblazing-horse@gmail.com if you have any ideas, any thoughts. Just support us. Tell a friend. We do jokes. We do games. This was more of a just straight discussion because we woke up to this. We woke up to this stuff, and it was wild. So it was nice to hash it out. I feel like I got a little bit of closure on just the fact that like probably not going to see Malik in a Pistons jersey for a little while, which sucks. But it's free agency's exciting, and it's been cool talking it out with you guys.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for being here. We always appreciate seeing you guys. Thanks for being part of the chat. Thanks for subscribing. And we leave the show the same way literally every episode, and that's by reading the Order of the Blazing Horse acronym aloud because it sounds kind of exactly like the noise a horse would make.
Pretty much exactly, yeah.
I'd say so. And we're drinking Kool-Aid from that trough with the feed bag and the oats.
Glug.
Get that thing down. So I've been Harry.
And I'm Mickey.